Okay, so we have our index page done, which will show all of our posts. And then when we click through to it, it'll actually take us to a single post page that currently doesn't have anything on it. So basically what we need to do is when the single post page is loaded, we need to take this from the URL and we need to basically do a find, a search function through the API to return the relevant post. So how we're going to do that is in our API. So the first thing you're going to notice is that when we're on the blog page here, we already have a lot of the blog's content. We have the title and the post image, so we can actually set that without even making an API call. When we click this, we're going to basically fire off a request and see if that works. So in order to do that, let me move my microphone a bit. There we go. In order to do that, we need to use the onClick handler for this link. So in our blog page here, we have blog items. So let's go ahead and open up blog item. And then this link element is what we're going to need to connect to an API call. And we haven't connected this to Redux yet. So let's import connect from React Redux, and then map state to props. Should be a const, and const map dispatch to props equals dispatch, and it's going to have one function, which is, I believe we have a file called site actions. Yes, site actions right there. So set post data. It's going to take post, and that's good for now. Don't really need anything else. And then we'll dispatch site actions dot set post data, and we'll use that. So let's go ahead and import site actions as well. So import all as site actions from store / actions / site actions. And now let's connect the blog item. So connect, and then we wrap blog item in parentheses, and the connect function takes map state to props and map dispatch to props. There we go. So let's save this, and then when we actually click this link, we're going to do two things. We're going to leave the to parameter so that it actually links to the article, the single post page. But we're also going to say on click, and we're going to call this .props .set post data, and we're going to set it to this .props .post. And then let's save this. Now we actually need to go into the site actions, and let's export const set post data, which is going to get the post, and we're going to return dispatch Actually, we can just dispatch right from here because we already have everything we need. So let's dispatch type set default post data, and the payload is going to be post. And we actually do need to return dispatch to get dispatch available. So there we go. And I'm going to highlight this. And then what we'll do is I'm going to copy this string here because it's quite long and go into site reducer. And we're going to set post to this. By default, it's just going to be an empty object. And then when we set the post data, going to return ... state, and post is going to be action .payload. And then we're also going to go ahead and add the other one that we're going to have set full post data. And this is going to be what's returned from the API. And then post is going to be ... state.post. We want to keep everything we've already got. And then ... action.payload. So let's save this, have this refresh, and then when we click on this and I inspect and zoom a bit, when I go to React and then highlight, sure, that, and scroll down a bit, we're going to look for the actual single. And we've not connected that yet either. So, what have we connected? Do we have anything that we can see? No. Okay. So let's go ahead and connect the single post. So in single, let's go ahead and import connect from React Redux, and const map state to props is, we need to wrap that with brackets, and then we'll get auth state.auth, and site is going to be state.site. And then const map dispatch to props gets the dispatch function. And for right now, it's going to do nothing, but we will end up connecting it to get single post, and that's going to get the single post data. And then we're going to connect the single React component here, and we're going to pass in map state to props and map dispatch to props. And basically what this should do now is allow the single component to have access to the app-wide state of both auth and site. So when I click into here, and I should be able to go to site, and the post object should have been fulfilled when we clicked the link, and we can see that it has. So this is good. This means that now all we really need is the content. So let's go ahead and do this. In single, so what I want to do actually is reuse the header. So where did I use that last? Blog, I believe. And so what we'll do is I'm going to copy this, and that is located in common. So import header from up one level common and then header, and I will wrap the entire thing in a div and then put the header there. And now the image that we're going to have here, in blog item, to embed the actual image, we've used a make file URL function. And so we're going to do the exact same thing in single. So now we also need to import API from was that too far up? Hold on one sec. So in pages, go up one level and then up another level. So it was 2. So in utils API. Then what we're going to do, it's going to go right here. So API make file URL image needs to be this dot props dot site dot post image 0 URL. Yes. So post image 0 URL and this dot props dot auth dot token. So let's save this, and we can see that our image is in there now. We don't have our title there, so what I'm going to do, since the subtitle is bigger, we're going to use that, and that is going to be this dot props dot post dot title. And this image here actually needs to be a conditional. So we need to say if post image length is greater than 0, then we'll actually make the file URL, else just nothing. Dot props dot site dot post dot title. Alright, so now we've got this, and if I go back to blog and then click another one, we'll see that the other data has loaded. And that's without even making an API call. That's just because we already have that information available to us. So what we need to do now is when we click through, or actually when the single component mounts, so we'll need 2 things here. Let's import all as site actions from up a level, up another level, in store, and then actions, site actions, and component did mount. And when component did mount, we're going to call this dot props dot get single post, and we're going to get it from the slug. So we're going to pass in the slug, which is this dot props dot match dot params dot slug, and then the token, this dot props dot auth dot token. Let's go ahead and save. Now in our map dispatch to props, we need to create a function, get single post, and we're going to pass the slug and token. And here we are going to dispatch site actions get post by slug. We're going to pass slug and token. I'm going to save this here. And now over in site actions, so we still have that tab open from earlier, we're going to export const get post by slug. I think that's what we named it. Yes, get post by slug. And we're going to capture the slug and token. And here we're going to return dispatch. And we're going to make an API call. So API get post by slug, slug token, and then the response. We're going to dispatch. Type is get, what did we name that? Get full post data. So we'll just paste that there, get full post data. And then payload will be res.data. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and now I think we actually need to create that in our API. Yes. All right, so down here near the bottom, get post by slug, and here we're taking in the slug and the token and the success function as a callback. And we're going to say Axios get host slash API slash posts. And we're going to set our access token equal to token. And then we're going to pass data in, which is going to be params, which is going to be another object, which is going to be filter. And then here we have our filter, which I believe we've used before. Yes, we've done an include with it, but we haven't done much else. Oh, yes, we have. All right, so what we're going to do here in this filter, we need to basically, if you have experience using MySQL, you'll know that in the SQL syntax there is a where statement. So you would say select all from posts table where slug equals and then whatever. So with our loopback.js API, we have something similar that we can do in the filter. So we've already actually used all of the other parameters. Basically, there's 5 parameters that you can pass within the filter, and it's skip, limit, include, fields, and then where. And additionally, if you want to use these fields within an included relation, then they would all fall under a scope parameter, which we'll discuss briefly in a little bit. But for right now, all we really need to do is in filter, we need to say where, and then open up an object. And the key is going to be the property we want to match. And then the value is going to be the actual string of text that we want to find the post by. So in this case, it's going to be slug. It's going to be the property of the post we're searching through. And slug, which the value here is drawn from the actual input parameters. So this is going to be the slug that gets sent all the way from the single post page. So then once we're done this, we're going to say then, and with the result, we're going to call success with the result. So let's go ahead and save. And then on the single page, in order for us to make sure this is working, what we will actually have to do is under the header here, let's go ahead and create a div and say class name is container, and then a div with class name of row, and then a div with a class name of call medium 9. Then in here we're going to create a div, but it's not going to have any content. We're going to dangerously set inner HTML, and underscore underscore HTML is going to be equal to this dot props dot site dot post dot content. Now let's go ahead and save this. And what we should experience now when we click to one of these articles, we're going to use the existing information, so the image and the title, and we're going to set that as default data, and then we'll ping the API for the content. So I'm going to raise this up a little bit, and I actually can't. Okay. All right, so that's as high as it'll go. And I'm going to click through to this, and we'll see that here we have the request that was made where slug equals my post is cool. And if we scroll down, we'll see that there's nothing there. So let's go ahead and look at the preview, and content says my content area is even cooler. Now that may be because we don't have HTML data. Let me click through to this one. Look at posts. Okay, so this is the post data here. That looks like it's not getting set on the post page. So let's go ahead and figure out what's going on here. Going to target that and then scroll down a little bit. Dangerously set inner HTML. Doesn't look like anything's in there. So on single, let's look at site, post, 0. Okay. So here what's happening is, if we look back at the network tab, what's actually returned is a list. See, it's an array, and this is the 0th item in the array. And so how we can circumvent this is in in our API. Where's our API? In our API here, in the actual URL itself, this will find all posts where a condition is met. In our instance, we only want to find one where a condition is met. And so we will, after posts, which is the name of our collection, there is a function called find one. So I'm going to save this now, and it's going to refresh this. And what we'll see is we now have this content area. And if I go back to blog and then to the first post again, we'll see my content area is even cooler. And then into this post, we'll see that the post data is basically just that. And as we move down, we actually can't click these because we've made the link to be the image. But in any event, this appears to be working, except that image is overflowing. And so we'll need to set a class. I think it's image fluid. Yeah. Oh, but we can't do that because it's an embedded image tag within the content editor. So we'll actually have to use some CSS to manage the max width of images within the post content area. And we'll do that basically by, in the div that houses our post content, we're going to set a class name of post-content, and let's save that. And do we have a less style sheet? We have a CSS one. Good enough. Oh, is this? I'm not sure if this is being loaded into, well, we'll see. Post-content image max width 100%. Let's go ahead and save. And it looks like that is taken into effect now. So, good stuff. That is our single post page, but it's basically useless. We can put content on there, but people can't really do much with it. And so we're going to quickly create a post comments area, a sign up form so new users can sign up. Then we'll fix our users page in the admin area, and then we'll get to deploying this, and I'll walk you guys through how to properly deploy a React application using Nginx and how to properly deploy the API onto the server using, well, we'll discuss that in a little bit. So let's move on to getting the posts up and running with comments.